Good morning, friends. Welcome to part one of lesson 4 in our animal habitats domain. And today, our new habitat is the East African savanna. So the savanna goes by grasslands also. So let's take a look and let's listen to our habitat song before we get started. And I'm going to turn my camera off for just a little bit.
I am an explorer of this beautiful earth, from the jungle to the polar caps. There are so many different homes for living things, and we call them habitats. The forest is made up of trees and animals. Oxygen and water are the norm. Temperate means it goes through different seasons, and tropical means it's very wet and warm. A forest is a home for living things, and it's one of the habitats. Grasslands can have many titles: pampas, prairies, savannas, or steppes. And just like forests, they can be tropical or temperate. A grassland is a home for living things, and it's one of the habitats. Fresh water can be a marsh or river, a wetland, a swamp, or a lake. And fresh water can be ideal for insects, for beavers, and snakes. Fresh water is a home for living things, and it's one of the habitats. The poles include the Arctic and Antarctic. Both are very dry and cold, and animals need blubber or hibernation if they want to live around the poles. A polar biome is a home for living things, and it's one of the habitats. A desert's dry and doesn't have much water. Some species live by storing it inside. Some hide beneath the sand when it gets hotter, and come out in the open when it's night. A desert is a home for living things, and it's one of the habitats. The ocean is vast and it's all salt water, with jellyfish, whales, and sharks. From the coral reef in the shallow parts to the deep where it's always dark. The ocean is a home for living things. There are even more homes for living things. So many different homes for living things, and we call them habitats.
Okay, well, you guys know how I love that song, and I was so into the song that I forgot to shout out when it got to the Savannah. So, if we look at this map in front of us, if you remember, we had the Arctic region up here, and then we had a small desert area in the Sonoran Desert. Let me move my picture again. The Sonoran Desert that was over here. Well, today we're on the continent of Africa on the East African savanna. So that's going to be what we are learning about today. But we first have to go over our vocabulary words. So we have 4 vocabulary words today. I know, and this first one is precious. Friends, can you say coexist? Coexist. So coexist means that you're living together peacefully at the same time. So, if you think about what's going on in our world right now, where we kind of have to stay home to make sure we don't get sick, we are coexisting with the people around us as peacefully as we can. So, this cat and this turtle in this picture are definitely coexisting, and they're very different. Coexist. And our next word is hardy. Hardy. And hardy means that um, something is able to survive in really harsh conditions. For instance, there's not a lot of plants that can live in the desert, but the saguaro cactus, the one that has the arms, it's a very hardy cactus and it can survive in the dryness and the heat. So these two puppy dogs are living in some harsh conditions for a while here, it looks like, and they're really hardy. They're hardy dogs. They're making it. All right, our next word is predators. Predators, and the word after that is prey. So we're going to kind of talk about these two. Oh, and friends, what kind of animal is this? We've already studied about that. Tell me. Nice. It is a bobcat. See his little bobbed tail and its tufted ears. Oh, and what's his prey? It's an Arctic hare. Nice job. It's white. In fact, he's almost kind of hard to see. But let's go to predators. So, a predator is an animal that hunts and eats other animals. So, this looks like a female lion, and it looks like she's trying to take down a zebra. And the zebra looks like it's zigging and zagging in front of him. And so a predator hunts prey. So the predator in this case is the bobcat, and the prey is the Arctic rabbit. I think I may have said fox earlier, Arctic hare. And then the predator here is the lion, and the prey is the zebra. So predators and prey, coexist and hardy, those are our four words for the day. So let's get back to our map. All right, so back on our map. And as soon as I start reading the story, I'm probably going to take my picture off altogether so that um, you can see more of the pictures with Rattenborough. Okay, friends. So we have already talked about the Arctic habitat, really cold, very harsh. We've talked about the desert, very hot and very dry. So they're both extremes. Plants and animals have to be very specific with how they can thrive and survive in those areas. So today we're going to find out about the Eastern African savanna. Okay. So, your job today is to listen to find out how the East African savanna is the same or different from the Arctic up here or the Sonoran deserts over here. So, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my picture. And just to remind you, friends, we live up in here. This is where we are, up in here. Okay, so let's get started with our picture. And here comes Rattenborough. Rattenborough, your intrepid, fearless adventurer here to show you something a little different. We've been talking about habitats, the places where plants and animals live, and we've spent time in three of the most extreme habitats: the freezing Arctic tundra, the Arctic Ocean, and the scorching Sonoran Desert. Now I've come to a habitat that should be of great interest to you. Some of the most famous animals in the world live here. Oh, friends, let's see. Oh, we know what some of these guys are. Welcome to the East African savanna. Savanna is another name for grassland, a wide open, vast stretch of grass covered land. You know you're in a grassland when there's a lot of grass around you, but not many trees or bushes. So, friends, if you look there, you see that some of the animals are eating near or on the bushes, but there's not many trees. The East African savanna has very warm weather all year round. However, it only has two seasons: the rainy summer and the dry winter. The plants and animals that live here have had to adapt to these two very different kinds of weather in the summer and winter. And luckily, I brought my umbrella in case it starts to pour. Boy, I can barely see a thing in all this tall grass. There's so much of it. As the name grassland suggests, grass is the most important plant growing in the savannas. The grasses are very hardy, which means they can survive the tough conditions of their habitat, long spells of dry, hot weather, as well as heavy rainfall and flooding. The grass has adapted to these conditions by growing very deep roots, so that even in the grass above the ground is destroyed, the roots underground still survive and the grass can grow back. The grass grows very quickly, as much as an inch a day. The grass in your backyard might take a whole week to grow an inch. Wow, that's pretty neat. Oh, here we go. What are these animals, friends? Yep, yep, they're zebras. Yikes! I'm surrounded by hooves. That's because grass is food for many of the larger animals like elephants, zebras, gazelles, and antelope. They chew on grass all day long. I don't think grass is all that tasty, to tell you the truth, but these animals depend on the nutrients in the grass to survive. It's all they need to eat. So, friends, if you think about the words that we had before, we had omnivore, carnivore, and herbivore. Who remembers what we call the animals that eat only plants and grasses? Do you know? Is it carnivore, omnivore, or herbivore? Good, it's herbivore. It would seem that because so many animals eat grass on the savanna every day, there wouldn't be very much grass left after all. But remember, the grass grows back very quickly, so there's usually plenty for the different herbivores like zebras and antelopes to eat. So, before we go on to our next big animal, friends, I want you to think about what is a savanna and what is one thing you might see in a savanna. Okay. All right. Oh my goodness. Look at this close up picture of this giraffe, and he's munching on an acacia tree. Okay. Grass is not the only important source of food in the savanna. Excuse me, friends. Many animals get their meals from the acacia tree. Giraffes, with their long necks and tongues, are able to eat twigs and leaves from the top of the acacia. Not only are the giraffes' tongues long, but they are also very rough. It's a good thing, too, because the twigs of the acacia tree are covered with sharp thorns that the giraffes eat along with the twigs and leaves. Wow. So, which word best describes a giraffe, friends? Is it an omnivore, a carnivore, or an herbivore? Good. A giraffe is an herbivore just like zebras. Okay. Let's go to another big animal. This almost reminds me of that book that I love, The Big Five, that we read in school. Okay, here's our elephants. Elephants eat grass and they like acacia trees too. They rest in acacia's shade and eat the acacia leaves, branches, and seeds. They even like to strip off the bark and chew on it. Okay, so elephants eat grass and parts of the acacia tree. Are elephants carnivores, herbivores, or omnivores? Good. They're herbivores. They're eating acacia leaves and grasses and the bark. Okay, so this is going to be the last picture of part one for this lesson. This is a beautiful acacia tree, friends. And to be honest with you, the acacia tree is one of my very favorite trees. So, this acacia tree might be a great tree to climb up to get a better look at the savanna, but don't forget it's covered in prickly thorns. Ouch! The thorns on the acacia tree are very small and very sharp. Acacias have adapted well to their habitat. They have small leaves and they don't dry out as quickly as larger leaves would in the dry, hot months. The roots of the acacia tree are just like the grass. They grow very deep into the ground, which allows them to collect water when there isn't much rainfall. And their sharp thorns help to keep animals from eating too many of their branches. These trees are right at home in their habitat. Wow. So we have learned a lot about the grasslands so far. We've learned about the grasses and the trees and the bushes, and that there's not very many. We've learned about some animals that are strictly herbivores, and we'll continue learning about more animals that are part of the African savanna grassland habitat in part two for next time. So until then, have a great day, friends.